Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. My name is Mariani binti Muhammad Dahlan from College Politek Mara, Ipoh, Malaysia. Today I would like to present my article titled Use of Facebook among Perak Small Medium Enterprises Business, Implication on Customer Networking and Marketing Medium. The purpose of the research was to find and analyze the effect of social networking site, namely Facebook and blog, on new Mara small medium enterprises (SMEs) in Perak using quasi-experimental design. The independent variables in this research were two treatment modules, SNS training and without SNS training. The dependent variables were marketing medium and customer networking. 60 entrepreneurs were purposely chosen from Mara Negeri Perak. The entrepreneurs chosen for this research are similar in terms of entrepreneur ratio in the business category and assigned into two groups to interact with either SNS training or without SNS training. The data obtained were analyzed by carrying out descriptive and independent t-tests, parametric statistical technique. Background of research. According to Mara 2014, one of the many issues that are facing Bumiputra's SME is how to market the product or service produced. This is also supported by Tunggak, Salomon and Abu 2011, where from his research, the main weakness of the Bumiputra SME entrepreneurs is marketing and network business. In addressing this problem, it is recommended to use the social media technology in business by combining traditional business model, including the marketing with online business model via Facebook and blog. This research employed a quasi-experimental research design. This quasi-experimental research involved a pre-test and post-test. Those were conducted before and after the treatment session. This is the design. So for identification of the Mara SMEs entrepreneurs, the business must be 10 years and less. The Mara entrepreneurs will be categorized into two groups, 30 persons in a group. Population of Mara Perak entrepreneurs is 179 persons, divided into three business categories: food, clothing and beauty center. So treatment group 10 beauty center, 10 food and 10 clothing. Control group 10 beauty center, 10 food and 10 clothing. And then the total sample was 60 samples. Research findings: all the dependence variables, customer networking and marketing medium, it was found that the entrepreneurs could create many relationships among their customer through the SNS, either create a new customer relationship or remain the old customer. In terms of marketing strategy, the traditional marketing was chosen by the entrepreneurs instead of marketing through SNS. This indicates that the entrepreneurs without using SNS training scored higher on marketing strategy compared to the entrepreneurs using SNS in their business. This means that the entrepreneurs more confident in the traditional marketing strategy compared to SNS as a marketing medium. In conclusion, this research has shown that the use of the SNS Facebook in business would serve as a useful strategy to increase their customer networking. At the same time, it should be an easier medium to access the products either for the customer or entrepreneurs itself. Therefore, through this research, hopefully as an alternative solution to improve the way they are doing the business in this digital era, compared the traditional era that the entrepreneurs just waiting the customers at the business premise only. The research is bound to certain limitation. It was primarily limited by its small sample size because of focusing on new SME business in Perak. The sample size should be expanded by including the entire Malaysia SMEs business, and the number of participants should be more evenly distributed across gender and type of business. The participants represented a narrow range of gender, age, and types of business. A large sample is better with more diversity would giving benefited the whole research result. It is including multiple groups of business categories from small till large businesses should be represented in suggestions for future research. The researcher would recommend that the future investigation should also consider the whole Mara entrepreneurs in Malaysia to identify the significance of using SNS in business. As such, future research could further generalize the results to a larger sample with different category of business to enhance the findings. The researcher should give training into future tools, social networking websites, such as licensing agreement with certain parties to prevent copyright infringement from happening on the internet. The researcher could identify the negative effects of SNS in Mara business in terms of employee when they are involved in online business. Okay, that's all. Thank you.